Lock us in, load us in, pop in that 8-track, spin the tape. Here we go. Hey now everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Resistance Recap, hosted by the dudes, the bros from the Star Wars Time Show. It's Matt, Nick, and Pete. Who knows if Ellie's around? She may be fighting another cat. She tends to like to rumble. So, Resistance Recap, that means it's time to talk about the latest episode of Star Wars Resistance, which this week, if you're keeping scores, S1E14, the Doza Dilemma. All right, Nick, so as we do the Resistance recap, we like to start with the Easter eggs and Star Wars franchise reference breakdown, and I'm the one that kind of cooks up that video for our website, StarWarsTime.net. It was a good one. We're finally back to some concrete Easter eggs, if you will. I mean, one was audible, but the others were quite visual. Much better than last week when I was doing Easter egg gymnastics to kind of formulate anything to talk about in terms of the Easter egg front for Star Wars Resistance. But we're also going to recap and review at the end because this is a pretty damn good episode. I mean, it was first order plotline focused from start to finish. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about those eggies. All right, man. So what'd you think about the Easter eggs? I mean, did I find them all? Did you get one that I missed?
You did a fantastic job this week, man. And I have to say, number one, it didn't even occur to me at first. Like I saw it and I was like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that. And I actually had to look up the kid who you were referencing. And this was one of the auditory ones, the word wizard. So Torah says wizard in the same manner as Kitster use it in the Phantom Menace. And I
That's
was
so
like,
wizard, Annie.
I know. And I was like, what the shit was going on there? And then I looked it up and I was like, okay. I saw the kid. Like I looked up Kitster at first because I remember the line and I was like, okay, now I'm here. I'm with you. But yes, like the kid is if you remember when we're still on Tatooine and in the Phantom Menace and it's all of Annie's friends hanging out. It was outside of the shop and it was like the little Middle Eastern kid with the dark hair says it. And as soon as I saw the picture of Kitster, I was like, okay, I'm on the same page. But the fact that you caught this one was, again, like a testament to not only your ear, but your ear for Star Wars, little nuggets like that. It's fantastic find.
I'm not going to lie. There was a phrase uttered right before it by Sonara where she talked about cycles, and I was almost going to tie that to basically Luke and the Lars family and the cycles and him worried about cycles. And then I heard this. I was like, nah, I'm going to fucking scrap that stretch of a one and go right for wizard because I didn't even know this. I mean, obviously I picked it up. The phrase, I can't forget it for some reason. I really excel at retaining stupid information. But I get it became a meme, especially for older Anakin and when he turned into Darth. It's like, I think it's a picture of Darth Vader, and it's just like, nothing's wizard anymore, is it, Anakin, or something like that. Yeah, but I guess there's a whole meme movement around Kitster saying wizard, but now we get Torah saying, so it's a slang saying in the Star Wars universe, so I thought that was kind of cool. And those are, as I like to define, that is an Easter egg. A reference to me is like a passing mention of a character, a ship name, something like that, an event, where Easter eggs are these like wink wink, hey fans, if you're a real fan, you've probably heard this before. You may not remember exactly who said it or when it was said, but it definitely was like a wink from the writers to people like us.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a perfect catch. Again, that was probably, of the list that we have here, I think that was the most obscure and hard to catch one because it was another audio-focused one. All the rest of them moving forward, for the first time in a week, are all visual Easter eggs. Good, solid catches. And number two, I definitely caught this one because this one's like right in your face. But Torah, when she goes to her loft with Sonara and Kaz and Tam was there too.
That's kind of like the gang now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like the new group. That's like the cool kids club, I guess you would say, of the Colossus. and so Tora has this drone shooting game where it's almost kind of like a Nintendo shooting gallery game, except what you're shooting at
It's
were
like Duck
training
Hunt.
remotes,
Well, I mean, shit.
kind of like Duck Hunt.
I don't even know. Well, hey, you told us our demos, so yeah, everyone's gonna
Yeah.
recognize that reference, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, Duck Hunt. If you are skewing to the younger age listening to us, then Duck Hunt came out on the original Nintendo. Came with a plug-in little light gun. You would shoot at your TV to shoot the
Yeah,
ducks
it's
flying in
like
the
those
sky.
games at Dave and Buster's or arcades where you get tickets where you shoot a gun at a screen
Yeah,
type of
exactly.
deal.
So this is exactly what it was mirroring in Resistance, and what you were shooting at were the training remotes that Luke was training against in A New Hope. So if you remember, on the Millennium Falcon, as they were heading towards Alderaan, right in the beginning of the movie, he's training with Ben, trying to reach out with the Force, wearing the helmet that obscured his vision, and that remote is what was used as the targets in this little drone shooting game. So really cool. I really enjoyed that, and that also showed that Sonara is a Deadeye with a
Yeah,
blaster.
yeah, she definitely tore it up. But I guess what I like here is I honestly think if Tora was real, I'd probably date her.
She's a
Because
cool chick.
we know she likes to collect memorabilia, like from the past. I mean, there was back in the first half of the season during one of my Easter egg breakdowns. I mean, the first time we saw the inside of her apartment room, whatever you want to call it, I mean, she had like Tauntaun dolls, Hoth dolls, this stuff, that stuff. I mean, so she's a collector and a gamer. I mean, this is the second time we've seen her playing games. So, this is definitely becoming the clique. Tora is kind of like I don't want to say the ringleader, but maybe the most popular one. Clearly, she's an ace and she
Yeah.
lives on the tower
Well,
where
she's the
Kaz and
rich
Tam are kind
girl.
of, yeah, Kaz and Tam are kind of the middle class, poor type of people. And then obviously we know Sonara, what her deal is, but more on Sonara once we get into the breakdown because I think some of my predictions are ultimately coming true. Some of them, but they're also headed towards the two outcomes I believe that Sonara has facing her. So, anyways, moving on to the third one, and this I'm almost gonna call this an Inception egg
Yeah.
because I believe, and what I'm talking about is middle of the episode, Kaz, Niku, Tam, they're back at the shop. They're working on a bike. And if you look at the bike, it looks like it's a modified speeder bike, Imperial Speeder from Return of the Jedi. I also, if you remember a few episodes back, Nick, I caught Sonara hauling one of these bike chassis out of the ocean down in her little scavenging pit. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw the conclusion that she ultimately sold that to Yeager's shop to fix, create, sell, whatever. And now we get to see it in its near finished state.
Yeah, I think that's a good call because she found that in the same kind of dredging that they found the Clone Wars era fighter, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's her job is essentially to scavenge the bottom of the ocean or wherever the Colossus sits. I mean, she
Yeah.
goes out on skiffs to do it, does it right there. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what she does. She hauls to sell.
Yeah, she's a salvager basically in her, her stealth role on the Colossus. So it was a good catch though, and as you always do within these Easter egg videos, you make the reference very clear with the close up shot of the speeder bike from Return of the Jedi. So I think you've, yeah, again, you've done your diligence. You've caught the not only the Easter egg but the Easter egg within the Easter egg for this one. So solid job there. Moving on to number 4, and this one kind of fits along with a theme that we may have brought up pretty early
Oh
on
yeah,
in the
I was just
show.
gonna say. I mean, talk about. I mean, how perfect of a role did Sonara slip into on the Colossus? I mean, she is a salvager, but when we talk about the pirates, they may be the best salvaging scavengers in the galaxy, right? Because the
Yeah.
next Easter egg here is we saw they had a pirate skiff, man, and half the skiff was a repurposed Tie fighter.
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to the earlier episodes of the show where the pirates first show up, I mean, we saw them running around in full stormtrooper regalia. We saw them using
I mean,
uh
Kragan whips that Mud Trooper armor. I
yep.
mean, Sonara, we said almost has like modified Clone Trooper belts, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, and we had already seen some modified speeders from ROTJ in earlier episodes during the pirate invasion of the Colossus. So they're heavily into old Imperial style weaponry, armor, and then obviously ships here, like Matt mentions, with the pirate skiff. I mean, I will say that not only did the pirates do a good job of, putting together a ship out of these parts, but the design people behind this show,
Oh yeah,
by
come on,
taking this and
it's
they made it
awesome.
look like a ship as well. Like it looked like a pirate ship. I mean, it
Yeah.
looked fantastic. So, I mean, this episode's full of highlights, but seeing that, like when Kaz is coming down, he's chasing the speeder bikes to save. I mean, spoiler alerts for our recap, but to try to save Tora, like, and you see the reveal of the pirate ship skiff. I was like, holy shit, man, that looks fucking awesome. So yeah, top notch job by the design crew behind Star Wars Resistance. Really, really great stuff there.
Yeah, so the final Easter egg, and honestly, it's probably one I could have left off, but sometimes I can't help myself. I like to get a little cute. But at the very end, when Kaz goes down to kind of test Sonara, we get to see her hoist, and they're those damn suction cups that we all first saw towards the end of A New Hope when they pull R2 out or even in to the X-wing, and then again in Return of the Jedi, we also see them use it after the Battle of the Hutt in the desert. They pull them up out of the sand. So, like I said, Nick, probably could have left it off, but sometimes I may like to get a little cocky with my deep cut Easter eggs.
This is definitely one of the deeper cuts. I mean, you don't see these things for very long, and more than likely, you don't even notice them because,
Yeah, it's like you almost have to wonder. I bet you sometimes you go like, what the fuck show is he watching? Like,
yeah, it's like,
is
did
he
you,
literally just watching the background? I mean, does he even know what is happening?
I think that, like, I mean, you have to be paying just ultra special attention. I think you said in the past, I could be wrong. Maybe I just think this, but like in my mind, you watch the show twice. You watch it once for entertainment value. You watch it again for Easter egg findings.
This is how it goes. So the first time I watch it, I am consuming it and taking notes. The second time I watch it, I'm more focused on capturing screen grabs to use, but I do go through it a second time.
Yeah. See, that makes
So the
perfect
first
sense.
time I am kind of eagle-eyeing on consuming the story and being entertained, but also making sure that I'm, kind of charting down the flow of the episode as well as any eggs or references.
Beautiful mind type stuff here to be able, because like I again, like I'm most of the time watching the show like while I'm at
Beautiful
work.
mind stuff. Shit. I mean, I wish I could do something that would like make me money.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
this is
true.
like stupid stuff.
But hey, it works for us. It works for our purposes. But
Yeah, so I mean, good. That's our Easter egg and reference breakdown for the Doza Dilemma S1E14. I mean, all good ones. One of them was auditory, but still a direct reference to the Phantom Menace and actually a meme in Star Warsville, and then some other good ones from the original trilogy. So, moving on to the episode itself, Nick. I mean, before we went live, we both kind of talked about how this was a meaty one because it literally, the opening shot is aboard Starkiller Base, or at least one of the Star Destroyers orbiting it. And really, the very end, I mean, the end is, Kaz kind of reflecting on what just went down. But, I mean, the First Order kind of puts they are the climax of this episode. So let's go ahead and just work down from the top. So Doza Dilemma opens up with blatantly now tying the pirates in the First Order and just showing the inner workings of their deals and really the end game of the First Order and their use of the pirates, because I mean we do find out they have been using them. Big surprise. But essentially Pyre and Phasma have Kragan called up and they're like, hey dude, we've been paying you to mess with the Colossus. It ain't working. I mean, Doza at least accepted our order, but he has not brought us on to do security. You need to ramp things up. You need to escalate it. We'll pay you whatever you want. You got to take something near and dear from him. And that's kind of how it ends, right? They don't really
they
hint
did.
what they're going to take. Not that, I mean, we all know what's going to happen. But right from the get-go, First Order pirates trying to undermine the Colossus. to ultimately get what they want, and that's going to be control of its security.
Yeah, so we get, like you said, we get hard confirmation that these two are working together now, and we also get some more confirmation that Captain Phasma's involvement with the First Order is very high level. Like, she's not just ordering troops around, she's not just telling people on, her specific Star Destroyer what to do. She is actively out in the galaxy pulling strings to make sure that the
Totally,
First Order
totally.
plans are going as they should.
I mean, I look at it. It's like Hux is the general. I mean, he is. I don't know his history, but I believe he comes from a wealthy family, maybe even a military family. And like he kept calling it like my army. But I mean, I do believe like a lot of that is him. But I mean, Phasma, she's essentially almost his equal, if not his number one slash A, 1A type of level.
Hmm.
I believe. I mean, I believe the First Order was initially Snoke, Ren, and Hux, kind of on the same level. Although Ren clearly could push around Hux, and
Yeah.
now he's above him for sure. But I do think Phasma is possibly in that group of four as well.
I think so. Yeah, I think she clearly established herself as the field general at first, but then kind of moved past that into more of a, I guess you would call it like a executive position within the First Order. Um, pretty quickly after her, her
I mean, she
proving
carries
her
out
worth.
what the big guys are telling her to, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then, after we get that, Kragan goes to his informant, goes to Sonara on the Colossus and tells him that she needs to essentially break in these two people or help these two pirates that are going to
Yeah,
carry out the
he's gonna
plan.
ship two pirates in a shipping container to Colossus. She needs to let him in and get him onto the tower. He
Yeah.
doesn't tell her why, and Nick's gonna kind of explain that during this conversation. He questions her a bit.
Yeah, so Sonara is definitely, you can tell within this conversation and then throughout this entire episode that Sonara, and this is to your point that you made earlier, Matt, that Sonara's kind of not feeling totally comfortable with this. Like she's starting to not really have feelings for the people in the classes, but she realizes that she doesn't want to necessarily do anything that's going to hurt any of them. But she does agree to this, this plot, and she does end up helping these two pirates onto the Colossus. But before that, we do get a nice scene with Sonara and Tora, Tam, and Kaz, as we spoke about in the Easter eggs, kind of hanging out together and then spending some time in Tora's loft playing the video game. So this was a really cool scene, I thought, and it does establish that Sonara is starting to get more involved with the people on
Well,
the
yeah, that's what I was gonna
Colossus.
say. I mean, she was almost touched, shocked, if you will, that Tora A just included her. Like when they're all at Aunt Z's hanging out, whatever. And then Tora, Kaz, and Tam, they're kind of walking away like, yeah, let's go to my room and blah, blah, blah. And Tora's like, yeah, you too, Sonar. And she's like, oh, really, me? And then even up in Tora's room at the end, Sonar's like, yeah, Tora's like, hey, we're all buddies. Come up here anytime. I'll give you my code. And again, Sonar's like shocked, like, wow, this girl considers me a part of her core group of friends here, and I'm essentially in here plotting and figuring out what the security's like so I can undermine her father and get to these thugs into the tower.
Yeah.
Sonara still didn't know that they were coming to kidnap Tora, but more on that later. So, yeah, it was a good moment, but like I said, we said this a few casts ago, that I do believe Sonara ultimately is going to turn or sacrifice herself for either Kaz or Tora or her friends on the Colossus. And this episode, above all, is already starting to set that groundwork. I mean, Kragan's questioning her loyalty. What's she up to? You starting to like these people? You starting to settle in on the Colossus? Come on. And even, you can just tell, I know it's an animation, but you can tell that she is starting to have a little bit of heartburn over fucking with the residents of the Colossus for the pirates. So
Yeah, it didn't come as easy as it came the first time. When she first got on the station and she was trying to essentially turn off the targeting computers, like that came pretty easily. But now that she's on here and she's starting to get more comfortable with these people, you can tell that she's apprehensive about causing them harm. And you mentioned that she got this tower code from Tora to essentially, be able to hang out with her. And that does, that obviously is going to play a big part in, what is to come in this episode.
Right.
So,
So the things shift tonight. Kaz being Kaz, I mean, he always wants to check on Sonara. It's clear now. I mean, Tam is even making fun of his crush on Sonara. So he heads down the scavenging Nick, and that's right when she's breaking out the pirates. And as they're walking away, Kaz and BB-8 spy on her. And at first, Kaz is like, hey, you never know. Maybe they're just blah, blah, blah. And BB-8's like, hey, dude, I've never trusted her. So right there is the first time I think Kaz is like, this is curious. And obviously, he follows them onwards towards the tower to just kind of see what is going on. Who are these people that are with his crush?
yeah. So it was, I mean, I feel like at this point, Kaz needs to either separate himself from Sonara or really have like a confrontation about it, because it was very clear that Sonara is not the person that he thinks she is. And seeing her break these people onto the Colossus, and then ultimately seeing what happens with these two people, like he needs to just he needs to do something about it. And I think that like in the next episode, once we get through all of the events that happen here, because things start to happen very fast from this point. There's not like enough time between when he witnesses this happening with Sonara helping these people onto the Colossus and them actually going and you know taking out the deed, or going through with the deed, for them to have like a conversation about it. He needs to move quickly. But like, do you think that like Kaz just needs to take action at this point? Something needs to happen with Sonara, clearly.
Are we like all the way at the end of the episode here now that
I don't
he knows for sure that she's no good?
I mean, I guess so, but I feel like just seeing like that moment, like seeing her like her
No,
s-
I do not believe until the very end. Like he specifically went to see her at the end to ask her that question to see if she would come truthful to him, and she didn't. And that's when he walks away. He goes, "Yeah, BB, I'm with you now. She's either a pirate spy or a pirate herself."
Okay, yeah, but yeah, I guess what I was getting at is like right then, like when he saw her get those people on, like he knew that there was something, and he
Oh,
was just
yeah. I
using.
mean, yeah. I mean, obviously he wanted to follow her, but I think because he likes her. I
Yeah,
think he likes her. Like I said, a crush. I think he was still in his head, like, oh no, whatever. She's just there are other salvagers, whatever. They're customers,
okay, so
blah
you
blah
think that
blah.
like that he actually like rationalized it.
Oh, of course, but
Okay.
it was. I mean, he literally had to go and kind of test her for him to agree with BB, because BB all along was like, I've never trusted her.
Yeah.
But Kaz, because he's thinking with little Kaz, has given her the benefit of the doubt. But at the very end, that was a purposeful
Yeah.
test on his part to see if she would lie or come clean, and she lied.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But
Um,
anyways, so I mean, ultimately, Kaz is following him, but they get ahead of him. She gets him into the tower, but that's when they finally tell her who they're after, and it's
yeah.
Tora. And that's when it really clicks in her, and she's like, you know what, enough's enough. Fuck this. I can't let this happen. Not
Yes.
Tora. She's my friend. She's accepted me, and that actually means something to me. So I'm gonna try and stop this. And lo and behold, that's just when Kaz catches up to her. And so she kind of plays it off like she knows something's going on and convinces him to help yet again.
Yeah, yeah. See, this is the moment where I thought that like I feel like Kaz wised up to it, but I think you may be right. He is kind of in his own head with this relationship, this imaginary relationship with this girl. But yeah, this is when you really see that Sonara is not in. Like she's completely finished with the pirates now in my mind. Like this is the moment where she realizes
Yeah,
that
see, that's yeah. I don't even think she's completely finished, because if she was, why didn't she just come clean the Kaz?
well,
Like,
cuz
yo,
I think that I think she's done. Like she won't do anything that Kragan asks again, but she also realizes that if she does just straight come clean and say like I'm working with him, I'm so sorry, that like there is a very high chance that they exile her at the very least. Like, it's possible that
Like
they
with
kill
anything in
her.
life, the more and longer you lie, the worse the things are going to be when you finally do get caught. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Craig and will contact her again. Mark my
Oh
words,
yeah,
and
oh
he's
yeah. I
going to
think
ask her to do something. And that I'm telling you, the next time's probably going to be the time that she's like, that's when she's going to fully turn, or that's when she's going to sacrifice herself. So
yeah, yeah. So, and then at this point, Kaz sees what's happening. Sonara says they're gonna go. They're going to go get Tora, and then he jumps into hero mode again. You called it out at the end of the recap post, but this is when again Kaz steps up into the hero role within this show and jumps in the fireball, chases down
speaking
the
of the
two guys.
fireball, dude, I think it's the perfect ship for him because he's such a klutz and kind
Yeah,
of a wreck sometimes. But how funny is the fact that the fireball is literally always busted ass down?
I mean,
Like it never it never just flies smoothly. Something's always fucked up. It's always smoking. I mean, it just cracks me up. Even when he pulls out before he gets shot up, it's still kind of half busted.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I'm pretty sure before he gets shot, it still like stalls in midair and
Yeah.
falls down and then comes back. Like it is. It's a perfect. It like the ship is a perfect personality fit
Yeah.
for the pilot. Like,
It's essentially Kaz in ship form.
yeah, it's perfect. And then this is when this sequence of events leads us to the reveal of the giant pirate skiff that we talked about in the Easter eggs. And the whole time, he's following them. Essentially following two skiffs. It's almost looks like two speeders that are you know putting about over the water. And then he finally gets to the reveal of the big pirate ship, and this is where a kind of shootout ensues. At least on the part of the pirates, Kaz holds himself back from firing because apparently the
Well,
fireball
another
does
thing,
have.
Nick, when he sees Craig and ship come out, which again is badass. I mean, he literally has a pirate ship. I'm sure it flies ultimately, but he had it in the water.
Yeah,
But that's the first time I at least picked up on that he went, oh shit, yeah, Sonara's. That's when he knows Sonara's lying, and that's why he goes to her afterwards and asks her the question. But
yeah,
that's when because it was a great kind of double take for Kaz, because right when he sees the pirates and he puts two and two together with Sonara, then who shows up?
yeah. I mean,
The
after,
First Order comes
yeah,
in the screen. So
yeah. I
he's
mean, after
like,
the shootout, you
yeah,
see it's like it's the Kylo Ren ship, and there's Ellie jumping up on the desk. For those of you who heard that, but yeah, the First Order shows up, and it goes a little bit differently than you would initially expect, right?
right. So you got to think again. Kaz, he has no clue what's going on. He just learned that Sonara, the girl he wants to date, is feeding him lines of bull, and there's something going on with her and the pirates. Then, out of the blue, the First Order shows up. No, he's already investigating them. That's his main charge. And it was almost like he's going like, oh, well, are they working together? And like he actually figured it out. And then, as Nick teased, the First Order first orders the pirates
Yeah, they come on to the ship, and you think that
under
they're
the
gonna.
guise of they're going to pay the pirates.
Yeah, you think that they're gonna take Tora and take off. No, they open fire on the pirates, and they save Tora, quote unquote, save Tora from the pirates and escort her back to the Colossus and
Yeah,
back to
it was
her
a brilliant
father.
move. I mean, I think I wrote it or I mentioned it. It was the First Order, at least through this show, we are now seeing, Nick, that they were just as good at the long game as Palpatine.
Yeah, manipulation at its
Right,
finest
because
here,
this was,
really.
I mean, honestly, people got to understand that this pirate manipulation basically has been happening all 13 episodes, and it paid off here. So we got to see the First Order's ultimate goal was to use the pirates as if they were in leagues, and then ultimately turn on them to make it look like the First Order are the heroes. They're the ones that can control the pirates. They save Tora. It's Miller time.
Yeah,
So it was. I thought it was brilliant. I was like, I didn't quite see it coming. I honestly thought they were going to come and pay him off, and
same.
but then when he walked out, and I was like, oh shit, you know what they're gonna do? And hot damn, they did it. So I really like that.
And it makes perfect sense too, because what better way to prove
Of
that
course.
you are the perfect force to protect the Colossus than to protect the daughter of the person who runs it. Like,
When no one else could. I mean, the
yeah,
Aces couldn't stop her. Kaz couldn't get her back. I mean, the First Order came in, strutting its stuff, chest puffed out, and did exactly what Phasma Empire were planning to do at the beginning of the episode. They were never planning to pay Kragan triple. They were just, again, using him, and this was the time they were finally going to double cross him.
yeah, yeah. It was perfect execution. And then now, I mean, if you're in Captain Doza's shoes, like, how do you turn down the First
He
Order?
still did that. So again, First Order saves them. They fly back to Colossus. Von Reg drops her off, and he plays this hero like, oh my God, Doza, we got her, man. We got her. We can do this. We've been monitoring Pirate Chatter for weeks now. We got your back. You really need us, man. You really need us. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and leave 2 First Order troops with you, just so you can feel even more secure.
Yeah,
Just keep thinking about it, buddy.
he wasn't all in. He was like, I don't, he initially, I think he said, we don't need this extra security, or I
Right.
don't
No,
need this
he's
extra
like, I want to go
security.
talk to my daughter. I mean, basically,
Yeah.
his kid just got kidnapped, so he didn't really feel like committing to that deal yet. But I
Yeah.
do believe he's been nudged as close to over the edge as the First Order has gotten him so far.
Yeah, exactly. So I
It's a matter of time.
really,
We know it's coming. We've seen the
yeah.
mid-season, teaser. So
Yeah. So we already know that there's going to be a heavy First Order presence on the Colossus at
so
some point in this season, but this is
I
the
mean,
start.
don't you think it's going to be the next episode? I mean, do you
I
think
feel
that's going
like
to be the boiling point?
it's got to be, because now at this point, like, if you're Doza, your daughter's been kidnapped, you have an inkling that the First Order is bad, but at this
Oh, dude, you
point,
know what? I bet it's almost Tor now that convinces him.
oh man,
Do you
that's a
think
good
like
call.
maybe
That's a
what's that syndrome to where like the captor almost
Oh yeah, it's
falls
Stockholm
in love
syndrome.
with Stockholm, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It could be that. I mean, I could see that maybe. So maybe it's not another event. She just says like, "You know what? They did save me. No one else could. Maybe you
yeah.
should do it, Dad,
I
even
mean,
though they kind of freak me out."
even she was surprised to see the actions of the First Order. Like, if you
Right.
see her, if you watch the show, when they go to save her, she's like, "Okay." And like
Exactly.
she was not expecting that. Like, she was expecting something much worse to happen, and when they came in as the saviors, it surprised even her. So, and she does seem like she seems young. She seems like she could be naive. So, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that did happen. If she was the one who was ultimately like, "Hey, look, I could have been dead. I could have been kidnapped and never found again, but these people saved me." And that's the turning point.
Yeah, so I do think within the next episode or two, Doza is going to commit to the First Order protection deal, and then the remainder of the season is just going to be, Kaz fully figuring out what they're doing and ultimately rallying the rest of the Colossus against them. Because I mean, it's all been teased. We've seen it. We still don't know where how the show's going to end. Is it going to end right in line with TFA, and then season 2 is going to follow TLJ events? We believe it is going to butt up with TFA, especially based on that midseason trailer. So who knows? But the episode does wrap. We've kind of already highlighted it, but Kaz, now knowing that Sonara hasn't been truthful, does go down to salvaging after the big ordeal. Everyone's safe, and it's a straight up test, and he basically gives her a chance to come clean, and she doesn't. So as we said, he walks away going, BB, you've been right, man. I mean, she's now proven to me that she's either a spy for pirates or she's a pirate herself. And that's kind of how things end. And you can just tell he's bummed the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, the girl that he's kind of,
Right.
got a
I mean,
thing
he probably
for.
feels betrayed. And I
Yeah.
bet being a spy himself and he's had to lie to her, he might not feel as betrayed if he was just someone trying to court her.
I don't even think that that's occurred to him yet. Do you think that he's thought that deep? Like, oh, I'm a spy too. So, you know,
I know we make fun of him, but I want to give him some credit, especially because he does seem to have compassion.
yeah.
I think, and you can even tell when he's lying to her, like how uncomfortable it makes him. Like he's doing that, yeah.
Yeah, they do a good job in the show of making that
Right.
difficult.
Kind of visualizing that he doesn't feel comfortable bullshitting to Sonar. Really,
Yeah.
probably anyone. So
Yeah. So overall, I mean, I thought that this episode, I mean, definitely better than the last one, and I would rank this very high in the overall 14 episode structure so far. Like, I feel like I would definitely put this as a top 5 episode because,
Oh,
like you
easy,
said in the
easy,
beginning.
easy top five. I don't know about the best. I think whenever Poe is in a full episode, those automatically rank up to the best, just because I
Yeah.
love how Oscar just gives it his all for this animated role.
Yeah, and then,
But
like
easily best of the return from the break.
yeah. And also, I'm a big fan of all of the episodes that include the multicolored stormtroopers. So we in this one we got all of them. We
Oh
got
yeah,
Phasma,
we
we got
got them
Pyre, and we
both. We
got
got the
Von
gold,
Reg.
the white, and the red.
Yeah, so I huge fan. Really push forward the plot line, which is what we were looking for in the return, and it sets up a lot of good motion going forward into the rest of the season. So big fan of this episode, and I
I
can't wait to
do
see what
feel
happens next
like
week.
I don't want to piss on your parade, but I do feel like next episode may take a step back to give everyone a breather, because usually
Yeah,
when they do like basically full on, this is first order overarching plot central, they tend to reel things back a bit
yeah, and we
before they scale
also,
it in.
if we're working with a 22 episode season, which is typically what you get for these half-hour long full runs, um, we're at what 8 episodes left after this one. So, I mean, depending on how they count them, we count them a little bit differently than they count them. I think this was their 13 and we count it as 14. But so we have about 8 episodes left, and I guess you're right, you could still have 1 or 2 episodes sprinkled in here, maybe 3 that aren't solely focused on the first order plot line and still allows for a little bit more levity, some more character development episodes specifically around members of Team Fireball or other members of the Aces or, around the Colossus. So, I think you could be right, but I definitely want to see like what events spring from this because there's going to be a lot that happens, and even if the next episode isn't completely first order focused, there will still be the outcome of this series of events.
Sorry, dude. I had the kid yelling in the background, so I had to run away real quick.
No problem. But I think
I'm sure
that,
Nick recapped it quite nicely, though.
yeah, I'm sure that I'm sure that you guys out there agree with me that there's a lot to cover in the 8 episodes that are left for this series. And, maybe we take an episode off next time, but I still do think that we're going to get at least a little bit, we'll touch on a little bit.
Yeah.
What
I
happened.
don't think it can be completely devoid. I don't think we're gonna get any more of those, but I would not be surprised if the next one, which we should be getting the preview clip tomorrow, and I'll know a bit more from there. But it was a good one. I mean, the highest rated one I've had since we started rating these, and it just, like I said, it's really kind of pushed a lot of these threads to a boiling point. I mean, Kaz knows about Sonara now. She still doesn't know about him. Kaz also is still not sure about the First Order and the Pirates. But the First Order, they kind of got a good one up on everybody. So things are definitely going to be getting interesting moving forward. So make sure to stay tuned to StarWarsTime.net's coverage of Star Wars Resistance. We got you with Easter egg breakdown and recap and review videos on the Monday after new episodes. And then we should usually have the Resistance recap in podcast format the Wednesday after the most recent episodes. So stay tuned, my friends. StarWarsTime.net. Hit it up, share it around, spread it around, review it around, hate it around. We don't care. We just want you to consume it. Let us know. Provide some feedback. That'd be nice. I mean, is anyone listening? Do you like what we do? Are we stupid? Don't answer that. We know that answer. But the other stuff, please. There's ways to contact us. Facebook, Instagram, through the website itself. We got contact pages, comments. We want to know. Is there anybody out there? Right, Pink Floyd? Okay. All right, people. May the Force be with you. Always.